Opening weekend in Central Texas, rifle season, the hill country, the Johnson Ranch, got your friends and family in camp. I can't think of much better.
McWhorter Custom Rifles presents
Trabajo en este laboratory. We're back at the Johnson Ranch for the rut. Seth has a couple of his family members from the southeast in town, and they're going to be hunting some mature Texas whitetail.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by McWhorter Custom Rifles, Extreme Wildlife Adventures, Swarovski Optique, Yeti Coolers, and Barber Creek Shooting Academy.
It's opening weekend in Central Texas, and I've got my family, my stepfather, my brother-in-law, and one of their good friends. They're driving all the way from Alabama, and we're going to the Johnson Ranch. After the 14-hour drive, the first thing we always do is go to the range. The guys had a treat in store. We had 2 McWhorters in camp that we were going to let them hunt with. We had a McWhorter 6.5 Creedmoor. It was shooting 135 grain Burger Classic Hunters, and it was also topped with Swarovski X5. We also had a McWhorter 7 STW. It was shooting Burger 180 grain BLDs, and it was topped with a Swarovski X5 and 5-25 by 56. Both guns were dialed in, and everybody got a chance to shoot them. The guys were ready for their first hunt the next morning. I was going to be hunting with my stepfather, Freddie, and my brother-in-law, Mike. We were going to go to a blind up on the hill. This blind had produced for me a lot in the past, and I know there's a bunch of deer in that area. In particular, we had gotten a bunch of trail cam pictures of a deer we nicknamed Medusa. He had triple brow tines, wasn't very wide, but just had horns all over the place. We had another couple of deer, really good looking management bucks that were, more typical frame, but big 8s and big 9 points. So with the 2 of them, I basically said, guys, whichever one of these deer comes out first, you 2 are going to have to flip a coin and make a decision on who gets to shoot first. Tim, he was going to another blind on the north end of the property. He was going to have Lamar sitting with him the first morning, and our cameraman Russell.
Tim, I know everybody likes to hunt the rut, but there's no place like Texas when the rut's going on and it's just kicking off. This is the Johnson Ranch, and when you got a quality managed ranch, the rut can be fun.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
We got that 8-point picked out. Let's go see if we can find him.
I'm ready.
They were looking for a couple of other deer in that area, big 8 points, big 9 points. It was just a matter of time before any of these target deer walked out in front of us. Opening weekend could be hit or miss weather-wise, and it was not very cold, so the morning activity was not as fast as we wanted it to be. That first morning, it started out really good. At very first light, we had a great, big, huge, young-looking buck out there. We had nicknamed this buck 7x7. He was actually a mainframe 6x6 with split G2s. Just a really great looking buck, good up and comer. I mean, probably already 180-inch deer, and you could see Mike and Freddie's eyes, just, huge looking buck right out in front of him. I'm just like, guys, that buck needs some more time. After that, we did not have a whole lot more movement. It was a warm opening day. I told Freddie and Mike, just be patient. Afternoons this time early in the season are a whole lot better in my opinion. And so I told them, just relax. We only saw one good looking buck this morning, but this afternoon we could have a whole different story. Tim, on the other hand, was having a great morning. He had a lot of good-looking deer come out, and they saw a really pretty big, long tine, heavy 8-point, just a great management deer. And I think Tim was really wanting to shoot that deer, and Lamar didn't quite know if he was ready to shoot on his very first morning. And both the two of them were looking at each other like, do we want to shoot this one? Do we not want to shoot this one? And needless to say, after the morning was over with and Lamar figured out that Tim really wanted that deer, it was one of those things that was kind of like a letdown.
As you can tell, my man Tim here, he's ready. He hadn't changed that position since we got in there and it got light.
Needless to say, we had several more days of the hunt and we had a couple more opportunities for those bucks to come out.
This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Sport Ear by Axel Hearing Performance.
Later that day, weather started taking a turn for the worse, but we weren't going to let that slow us down. We were all going to get up in the blind anyway. We had a front coming in, we had some rain, and sometimes that works. It's the ticket to getting these bucks on their feet, and that's exactly what happened. We had all kinds of bucks out immediately for the Big and J. Just some good looking young bucks, some up and comer bucks, and several that had Mike really interested.
That is the deer of the two I was talking about.
So as the light is starting to fade, out walks a really good looking 9-point. I immediately knew what deer it was. We had several trail cam pictures of this buck, big, good looking mature deer, ready to be harvested. I looked at Mike and I said, that's one of those big 9-points we were after. And it took him no time to get that McWhirter 7 SCW out the window.
All right, I want you to shoot that deer, okay? Yes. You ready? I'm gonna bay at him, okay?
Mike made a great shot. The buck only went about 30 yards and flipped over. It's hard to read Mike sometimes. I looked over at him and he just, he had a big old grin on his face, so I knew he was excited. Well, it's the next day and here's a better look at Mike's deer. About the time we were getting to him, the bottom fell out. We had a great afternoon. Mike, you made a really good shot on the steer. Just put it right where you needed to, right in the shoulder. He went maybe 20, 30 yards. But what an afternoon. Me and you and Freddie in the blind together, getting to harvest a deer like this. Just a perfect buck to take off the ranch here. This is called a management deer, but it's a trophy in just about anybody's book.
Absolutely.
Rodney, in his management plan, he's really trying to harvest 5-year-old deer like this that he doesn't want to be doing the breeding. We saw what he's trying to obtain. We saw a typical 14-point that's just a beautiful deer, up and comer. And with a plan like this, you want to take out deer that are just big mature bucks that are doing the breeding that might not have the potential that he's looking for from a horn standpoint. But I'm sure you're happy to oblige to shoot
extremely.
big old deer like this. But, congratulations again. What a great afternoon. Well, good job, and look forward to doing it again someday.
Thanks, Seth.
For Tim's afternoon hunt, he was going to be sitting with the ranch owner, Rodney Johnson, and they were going to be hunting at the north end of the property. Russell, our cameraman, was with the two of them, and they had an action-packed afternoon. They had deer all over the place. As the light was starting to fade, they also had a great big buck to walk out. He was making his way over towards the Big and J, and there was a great looking 8-point that had a split G2 on one side that we had a number of trail cam pictures of. When that deer walked out, Tim immediately knew which one it was. I had shown him pictures of this deer before. Rodney looked at him and said, "You can shoot that one if you want." It took him no time to get his McWhirter 6.5 Creedmoor out the window. At the shot, the buck mule kicked, which we all know that's a great shot, right behind the shoulder. He ran to the left and just right outside of the view of the camera and fell over dead. Two great bucks on opening day in the afternoon. Mike and Tim were ecstatic. Their very first time to hunt deer in Texas, and needless to say, I think they're both hooked.
Well, Tim, what a buck and what a day.
Wow, what a buck, Rodney. This thing is awesome. And we talked about the front coming in and getting them moving. Well, it got them moving.
It was a good evening.
Oh my goodness. And then he kind of ruled the roost there, and Doe finally came along and helped us out a little. But awesome.
She helped us out a bunch. Like I said,
did.
she finally pulled him out from behind those trees, you know, and got him out, whatever deal. And you made a great shot on him, whatever. But no, it was a great day. It didn't start out, y'all hunted for this deer this morning, didn't see him, I understand. Lamar was here with y'all, whatever, and went back and looked at some camera footage and saw another good 8, and we talked about it. That was a really good management deer as well. We came looking for either one of these deer this evening. Well, this one here came out, and the one y'all saw this morning didn't come out. And it all works out in the end, doesn't it?
It all works out.
It all works out.
If it works out like this, I'm all for it. This is
Yeah,
awesome. It's an awesome deer.
Pretty good wrap up for a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
What a
Awesome.
character.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Hoff Power Auto and Outdoor Stores, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, Sport Ear by Axel Hearing Performance, and Surge Pro by BioFact Crop Care.
James from Barber Creek Long Range Shooting School. This is Kyan Scott. She's going to be helping us with this parallax video. We're going to talk about parallax. Parallax is really taking the animal or the target and putting it on the same focal plane as where your reticle's at. If you don't, you can have something called a parallax error. Now on the side of the scope is a side focus / parallax knob. It is designed to do exactly what we talked about. Again, if you don't and you do make a parallax error, you can really make a bad shot, because really as you move your head, your crosshairs float around the target, and it can really open up your shot grip. So Kai, you want to go ahead and get lined up on a gun? So she got a nice horizontal setup just like she's supposed to. Go ahead and lock and load while you're getting ready, so that way you can take your shot. And we're still running a 6.5. Okay. So she's all set up on a target. We're going to shoot 500 yards. The first thing she needs to do is focus her parallax knob. So go ahead and put your left hand on the focus knob. Go ahead and focus it nice and clear. All right. Nod your head yes while you're doing it. So that's how you check your parallax. You nod your head yes up and down and see if there's any crosshair movement, and she basically makes it go away. So is there any movement now when you're nodding your head?
A little bit.
So keep nodding your head while you're focusing. Okay, let me know when you're good.
Okay.
All right, Alan, what's our wind?
No wind.
All right, aim dead on. And when you're ready, go ahead and take your shot. Communicate with your spotter.
Ready?
Send it.
Nice shot. Okay, now go ahead and stay in the gun. Bad parallax, so what she's gonna do is go ahead and stay in the gun and make bad parallax. How do you make a bad parallax? Bad parallax, you can actually make it yourself by adjusting your scope so far out that the crosshairs float all over the place. So take your non-shooting hand, grab the parallax, now turn it all the way clockwise till it stops. It'll be really out of focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now nod your head, what's the crosshairs doing?
They're
floating all over the place. She's really out of parallax. So that was just kind of an exercise for you to be able to see what bad parallax looks like. Go ahead and put it in focus now. Now while she's doing it, let me kind of explain something. Parallax does not need to be adjusted every time you go to a new range. So if you zero it or parallax it at 200 yards and you move to 4, you're probably good. But by the time you get out to 500 or 600 yards, you at least need to check your parallax. And how do you do it? Just nod your head and see if there's any movement. If there's no movement, engage the target and shoot. That's me, James, and then this is Cayenne, another downrange shooting tip from Barber Creek Long Range Shooting Academy.
Day 2 of our hunt was here, and Freddie was the only one left in camp to fill his tag.
We were looking for a deer we call Medusa, but now where we're going, you might have a little dilemma because there's about 3 of them that are really nice.
We spent the morning hunting a different blind that wasn't very far from the hill. We were hoping that the Medusa buck that we've been trying to target, he would come out there. But needless to say, we only saw one buck the whole time. We riled him up with some horns and came straight to us, but just a young looking deer, needed several more years. But you know what? What was funny about the whole situation is we got back to camp and went and checked the trail cameras, and sure enough, the deer we were looking for was back up on the hill, bright and early at daylight that first morning. If we had just not overthought the situation and went to the other blind, we would have filled our tag that very next morning.
Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Capstone Precision Group, Brooks Barrels, Borden Accuracy, Trigger Tech, Revolution Safe Company, Safari Club International Foundation, and Browning Trail Cameras. This segment of Precision Hunting TV is brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, real Texas barbecue.
Day 2 of our hunt, second afternoon, Freddie and I are headed back to the hill. The weather was right. It's the peak of the rut here in the hill country. We weren't in the blind very long, and off in the distance we could see a doe come walking through, and hot on her trail was a big buck, another buck, another buck, and another buck. There's like 5 or 6 different bucks all chasing that one doe.
Freddie and I are back after it. We have been looking for a deer we call Medusa.
And needless to say, none of them were Medusa, but we knew it's just a matter of time before that deer showed up. As light is starting to fade, I catch movement over to our right, and I see 2 bucks making their way through the brush. I threw the binoculars up, and I could immediately tell that it was Medusa. I looked at Freddie and I said, "Here he comes. Get your gun ready." He got the McWhirter 7 STW out the window. He was ready, he was trained. I knew they were headed straight to the Big and J. It was just a matter of time before we walked out. I told Freddie, when you're comfortable and he's broadside, squeeze the trigger. Freddie made a great shot. The buck turned and wheeled and ran the opposite direction, but he didn't make it about 50 yards and he piled up in view. Freddie was ecstatic. What a great hunt in Central Texas on opening weekend with my family. I got to bring them all the way from Alabama over. Mike and Tim both got their first Texas bucks. Freddie, this was his second time out with me, and just a great time had by all. Well, here we are the next day with Freddie's buck. What an afternoon, huh?
Wonderful. It seemed like, he wasn't going to come out, but he did.
Everything works out. Patience pays off.
2 solid days chasing this deer. We saw him once, all kinds of trail cam videos. Well, he was one place, we were the other. But you know, yesterday, that big old 10-point tested your nerves, and
He did.
yeah. But you made the right decision. He came out with just enough light, gave you a perfect broadside shot. You put it right where you needed to. He piled up within 50 yards, and you got this big old beautiful Texas 13-point deer we call Medusa.
He's beautiful, beautiful.
Congratulations, Freddie. I couldn't be more proud of you.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it so much.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. Friends and family.
We had a treat for them. You know, that evening we had Rudy's. We had some beef briskets, some turkey, some of their famous cream corn. Everybody in camp went to bed with a full belly that night. Fun time was had by everybody on such a special place. We've had some great memories here at the Johnson Ranch. Can't wait to do it all over again.